Hi, everyone. Welcome to Ramblings from the Little Shed. And on today's episode, we have Anke Herman. She is a versatile individual, and even her signature line is author, podcaster, coach, my favorite tech whisperer, polymind, and she's owned by 2 dogs. Welcome, Anke, to our show.
Thanks so much for having me. Really excited to hang out with you.
So happy to have you be here. Yeah.
So we met because I was listening. I'm a listener of your podcast, Soul Touched by Dogs, and I asked you if I could have a conversation with you, and we chatted, and it was just the most lovely conversation. And I thought, this woman has a lot to share with the world and a lot of insight, and I really wanted to continue that conversation with you. So, could we get things started with you telling us by these 2 dogs that own you?
I think you might. I don't know whether the video goes out, but these bottom girls are the ones who own me now. Like the 2 boys have crossed the bridge. And I always call them my wisest teachers. You know, like I think that's what's driving Soul Touched by Dogs, because ever since I've had my first dog, Leo, the little brown one, I realized that it wasn't about like training them to do little things and little tricks that we want them to do, and it wasn't about obedience, that they had so much more to give. They're like so, they're so superior to us in so many different ways, and they just, we put them in our world, so we have to sort of adjust to living together. But I think they deserve a lot more respect and a lot more kindness than they often get. And so I really wanted to, basically talk about that and to bring together people who feel the same, because nothing drives me more mad than somebody, like when they sort of get used as a toy for the kids, or a tool for, whatever, but then we don't actually bother to try and understand them at the level that they deserve.
And there are a lot of individuals who probably shouldn't say it, but they do get dogs for status. I mean, there are a lot of breeds out there that are status dogs. And
I would say that's especially true, like somewhere around, like I'm in downtown Toronto. I feel like I see that all the time. And there was, like, of course, during like the pandemic as well, there was that whole rush and wave of just getting the pandemic puppies. And then that left a bunch of, I don't even want to get into that because it's so sad. But yeah. I just want to say I love that print that you have so much with the 4. It's just so lovely, and a lovely way to just like have these friends on the wall with you. So
thank you.
Did you create that print?
Yeah, no, I created that. It was a little Canva experiment with photos of them, and then there was this app that you could, I don't know, just found it, and it gave like an abstract like look of it. Yeah, and I think the reason I'm so kind of passionate about it, it's I just recently worked with somebody, and it was all about sort of like uncovering like core values, and what's like not just the values we know about, when you go to a team building thing, it's like, what's your values? No, the kind of the stuff that drives you underneath. And one of my top one is fairness. Right. And it's like, oh, isn't that interesting? Right. That's why it rubs me up so bad when I can see these creatures who like who have so much to give, and so, who give what they have so freely, then they just be, but it's the same as people amongst each other can be idiots, and so,
absolutely.
Yeah, but I guess that's how this makes sense, why this rubs me up so bad when they don't get treated right.
You're very passionate. So can you tell us about your dogs, the ones that you do have?
Well, there is Mrs. Ada, and they're all like everybody except the last one, the white one. They're all like directly from the street, right? So there is no, I didn't even make it to a shelter, right? So I'm in the south of Spain, and so I don't know whether it's worse here than elsewhere, but so definitely it's pretty, yeah. I mean, look, I found 3, right? So, and they were literally just in the street, and they all came as puppies, and I just, found them as puppies. And, and Leo was literally, I kind of knew I wanted a dog, but then I was like, well, my dog's going to find me. And there he was, 4 months old, had already been living in the street for a bit. And, and so he was the poor soul who had to kind of, put up with me learning, because yeah, and that's also something that I talk about on summits these days when I get invited, because like I'm not a dog specialist, like I'm not a dog professional. What do I have to say on a summit for this? But the topic I found that actually that I can speak about with confidence and competence and that lands well on events like that is about becoming the advocate your dog needs. Because that was me. Like I found this little Leo, and there he was, cute as hell, like a little teddy bear, and traumatized too. Like scared of men and scared of car noises, and and then he got bitten, and then he kind of went off at any other dog, and so you get all this advice, and the vet says stuff that makes no sense, and lots of unsolicited advice, but even things you seek out. Well, this doesn't make sense, and that doesn't make sense, and this doesn't work. So I don't know, like you sort of feel caught behind that. So there was like a lot of learning in there. Fortunately, I found very early on somebody who said, don't feed kibble. So I'm very grateful, because I kind of caught on to that, like literally when he was still a puppy. So none of the others ever knew. Like they don't even know what kibble is. So, and then the second one was like a whole other case. He wasn't planned, so he was just a neighbor came and said, you've got to help me. You've got to help me. I wrote a whole story about that in this little book.
Yes, your book,
this one
My
down the
Fur
bottom
Baby,
here.
wrote
That's
this
little
book.
Boo Bear. And so it was his whole story, because he came about, like there was this neighbor that I didn't even like, because we had just found out that his girlfriend came home with a black eye, so he wasn't very popular. And there he was, and he'd seen me, and I'm like, oh God, there he goes, idiot. And he goes, you've got to help me, you've got to help me. And I'm like, okay, what do you mean? And he opens his jacket like this, and he had this tiny little black thing. What is that? And then these eyes looked at me, and literally like Soul Touched by Dogs come from there, because I remember the moment this little pup looked at me.
That was it.
That
Wow.
was it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he says, you've got to help me. You've got to help me. I took it away from this guy who just literally came out, out in the street and, screaming, and was about to smash this little puppy on the ground. And he says, you already have a dog. You've got to help me. I play the guitar in the street. I can't take care of him. And, so there he was, and he was a case, right? Because he wasn't even 2 months old, and he would be hiding in flower pots. And, if the guy comes out in the street in daylight trying to finish him off, I don't even want to know what happened inside, And so that was quite a bit of okay, now we have the difficult dog to learn from, right? So that was a whole other journey. Now the third one, then, she was a happy-go-lucky girl. She came and, well, I'm cute, and you know it, right? And she's still like that today. She's like 12 years old now, and she's big. Like Leo was the smallest. Like they get bigger. Each dog gets bigger, and so the bigger ones, they don't get picked on. Right. And nobody, even I love going out with the big girls, because nobody messes with you. There is no smart ass person come and try and tell me what to do. With a little dog, oh boy, right? But with the big ones, nobody comes and mess. And she's just the most gentle creature. And well, not if you're a cat, but with people and other dogs, she is like brilliant. And she literally raised the last one. The last one comes from my partner. I had a cousin, and they breed, like she's a Spanish Mastiff. It's actually a working breed. They have them out with sheep.
Okay.
So they're highly intelligent and independent. So people usually say you can't really have them as pets. And I'm like, yeah, watch me, mate. And he said, well, there's one that needs a home. And okay, so we got her, and she came like really like 2 months old, and the other girl literally, like, she was the easiest puppy to raise, because you didn't really have to do much. It was like literally all the puppy, all the like the playing, and like the other girl, she literally raised her. It was just incredible. And And so she came so smart because she grew up on a farm, like literally with sheep and horses and cats and other dogs and lots of siblings and no, not a lot of human. Like they basically had this farm place where they had them in a little kind of, barn, so they weren't in a house. People would be coming and going, so they weren't cuddled and fussed over. But she was like and she's still like, it's incredible how the difference when they sort of grow up in a natural way, when they get exposure to, like, she knows how to read, people and dogs and like versus little Kai, who obviously got ripped away from his mom way too early, and he was always like a lot more kind of skittish and fearful, and she's like,
I've got
and so
this.
she's like a massive goofball. But she's just really big. She's like 60 kilos. I don't know, about 120 pounds. So there's a lot of dog.
Well, the one thing that I've noticed, I'll back that up a bit. I do tend to spend a lot of time at the dog park here in Toronto without a dog. And so I'm sure people, actually I've been approached. Brogan was with me one time and, oh, which one is your dog? And
God.
Awkwardly, I'm like, well,
Finally
I don't really
caught,
have one.
yeah.
I'm doing research for my book. Yes, that's it. But the one thing I've noticed, there are several things. They are very well socialized here in the city. And they really don't react much to one another. And in fact, this morning I was sitting down having coffee at a coffee shop. And there are no street dogs here. Like there are more dogs than people. I'm pretty sure of that. We have dogs that are in the wild further north in Canada, but they don't tend to be in the cities here. So it's very interesting how different countries, I know there are different places like, down south as well in the Caribbean. And so.
Totally. Actually, It's funny because when I have, like, I always associate Canada with being, like cutting edge when it comes to like veterinary kind of care and research and things, because when I like the situations you get, like, Leo I had him fixed at sort of 11 months because he had one of little testicles hadn't come through, and they basically said like, okay, that if that stays inside, and that makes sense now. But then Kai came and there was no real reason for that. And then so I had this unfixed male, and all of a sudden, like, the girl came. What are we going to do now?
You don't want more
and
puppies.
So I started, that's the thing, it's like, I mean, I couldn't have, like, if one of them, if she has like 5 puppies, like, I can't have 8 dogs, right? So I don't have space for it, and it's just like too much. And so I went and researched, okay, so what are the options, right? And so in Spain, everybody, no, you've got to fix them like first before they have the first heat. And I'm like, that sounds, from what I've heard, that's not the latest. Like, that's kind of stuff that was sort of common in the 50s, and things had moved on. So, and I was like, because I remember German franchise did, like, they even have like hormonal kind of treatments. So there's all kinds of different techniques. I remember researching, and all the like modern stuff, all the latest research, everything comes out of Canada. It's kind of things where they have, like, even for street dogs, where there's like sterilization, like, where they basically say, but we're not going to just rip everything out, and that all the modern stuff comes from Canada. In Spain, I asked, like, I don't know, 5, 6 different vets. Okay, 2 questions. What are the options? Which one do you prefer and why? Well, 3 questions. Well, 1 answer out of all of them. They literally almost like as if they'd all memorized the same page from the same book. They all said, well, that needs to be done before, before the first heat because of cancer, yada, yada. Like, nobody even knew. And I'm like, I don't, like, that's not a recommendation. If you tell me, well, this has these side effects, this one we can't do because we don't have the equipment, this one, whatever, you can basically make a decision. But if you don't know, if you recommend the only thing you know, that wasn't very satisfactory.
Yeah. Well, good on you for not just being like complacent with that. And like you said, choosing to be an advocate for your dogs, because
I think one of the main issues here in Canada is that in a lot of the northern parts of the country, there tends to be packs of dogs. And so the rescue shelters here have to make these trips and gather these dogs. And so they come back with truckloads of these mixed breed dogs.
Mm.
So that's our version of street dog, I suppose, but not that we
But
want
is it
one.
easy for them, is it easy to find a home for them, or?
That's a very good question. One that I would ask the rescue shelters. I mean, they are full. They are over capacity. And I followed all of the pages, and they're always looking for homes and for foster families. And that's where my 2 current dogs have come from. They work tirelessly at trying to find them homes. Let's move into who Anke is and how your dogs, do they influence your creativity? You have quite a resume, and you wear many hats. And are they part of that somehow? Or tell us what you do and how your dogs are involved.
Well, the dogs are like I like for me, I actually have I'm in the process of writing another book as well, and I remember I had a draft title, or then I thought, well, no, it's actually going to be like just a chapter title, but it's called like The Dog by My Feet, right? And for me, what that means is that I can design my business the way it suits me, and for me, the best thing that could happen is having a dog by my feet, and I have one by my feet, So it's that I don't have to go somewhere to work and some boss tells me that dogs are not allowed, so it's like for me that really symbolizes the freedom of being able to design my day the way I want it, right? So it means a lot to me for that reason. Right? Because I
I love
always
that.
wanted a dog, like ever since I was like 3 years old, I always wanted a dog. And then, I was at school, I wasn't allowed to have one because both my parents worked, fair enough. Like, like rationally you understand it, but it doesn't make it go away. So, and then I was working in offices and, and I worked in London and corporate and whatever. And so I didn't want to have a dog that's alone at home all day, right? So, and I always like, oh God, one day I want to have a dog. And when I moved to Spain and finally had my own business, and I'm like, okay, like I'm the boss now. I can do whatever the heck I want. And so I can now finally, have that dog. And I mean, the way they influence my creativity is quite like in my face almost, right? It's like literally just for like the dog walks are like sacred. Because it's like I have a lot of input all day long, right? So I work online and, I work with experts, coaches, like, well, for the last couple of years, actually more and more dog professionals who have a lot of expertise, but find that the business side of that is a little bit of a mystery and tech is scary and marketing makes no sense. And so I basically help them bridge that gap to build the business up in a way that it actually reflects the brilliance that they have. And so there's a lot of Zoom. I live on Zoom basically. So there's a lot of, being at a screen, being in conversations with people. And so there's a lot of input. Like, so, it's kind of sometimes feel a bit flooded with, and then you read stuff. And so being out with the dogs and having the dogs that actually force me away from the screen. And then you're out and I have a friend of mine who's always like, let's go walk the dogs together. And I'm like, no. It's like, I don't want input when I literally want to be present, and I just go, and I actually also go with one at a time, good for my fitness. And it basically makes it so much easier because especially together, they're almost 200 kilos of dog. If there's a cat or if there's something, if then it's easier for me, much more relaxing if I just have one dog. But then and there's no phone and there's nobody to me. And so thoughts can just float and things can come together and puzzle pieces all of a sudden, it's like I map out whole books on the dog walk, right? So it's because of that quiet, being in sync. We're just kind of, and I let them sniff along, and they've got this massively long leash where I have to have them on leash, and so they can sniff, so they're relaxed, and I can just sort of drift, and it's it's crucial. It's kind of almost like I need it because you can't have that level of just allow thoughts to come up and and let ideas come in. You don't get that unless you're actually in a space like that. And dogs are brilliant for it. So
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it's so great to have that, like, the solitude and peace of mind to have those thoughts, to have that reflection, but still have a
Yep, yep.
companion, still have a presence
Yes,
with you. You're not actually alone,
exactly.
which
Yep.
I miss. I miss my dog walks. Oh, for that.
Well, and Rogan is familiar with this trail that we take our two dogs on, where we can allow them to be off leash. It's behind a gate where
Yeah.
no one else can access. And when I'm walking down that path and I'm watching them run, I'll say like you, Anka, the ideas just flow through and I can write entire scenes, chapters, and you hope that they're still there when you return to the vehicle so you can either write them
That's
down
the
or
important
log
push.
them in
Yeah.
your phone.
On that, I've had this like I do take my phone because I've had this happen, where I mean maybe not for like bigger things, but I would go and it's like all of a sudden like, I've had an idea, like maybe for a LinkedIn post or for like something or a title for something, and I'm like, oh my God, the moment I get home I'm gonna write this down, and then I get home and I'm like, I
What
do
was that
remember I
again?
had a brilliant idea, but I couldn't remember what it was. So now I do have the phone, and I'm basically, if something comes up, I'm like, wait for a second, and I'll just leave a voice note, and I'll just talk it into the phone. So I won't, because I know I cannot trust that I'll remember it by the time I get home. Yeah, that's so funny. Like, yeah, happens to me all the time.
I think it happens to a lot of us, and I can remember repeating the line. Let's say it was a great sentence, and I would repeat it over and over and over until I got back to the car, and I thought, well, this is ridiculous. Might as well just record it. So now this whole voice notes or recordings it's changed my writing world for sure.
Yeah.
But, well, that's
Yeah.
incredible. So your creativity, like when you said the title of your podcast is Soul Touched by Dogs, it literally was influenced by your dog, one of your dogs.
All of them, really. And it's almost like, I mean, with the second one, it was really extreme because I so remember that moment when that little, he was like really black, really shiny fur, like a cat. He looked like a baby cat. And like, oh no, that's a dog. And he was so small and you could see those big, big eyes, and it just like, I do have that sensation, and it doesn't even have to be my own dog. I can meet dog in the street and they just look at you and it just goes right through. So I like, it's a real physical sensation. And when I had the idea for that, well, it was a newsletter to start with. And, when I thought I wanted to kind of write something about that or talk about the topic, I kind of I remember it was like a whole weekend. Like these dogs were exhausted by the end of that weekend because I thought I need a title, I need a name for it that really appeals to the kind of people I wanted to speak to. So I didn't want people who wanted to dominate their dogs into, discipline their dogs into submission. So I didn't want the control, like you've got to control your dog, but I also didn't want let's spray paint them pink, right? To make them look like bloody Halloween. I mean, that I just, like, I don't like either. So I didn't want what you were saying, Rogan, before, when they use them like as a, as a status symbol, or when they have them like, put them in the handbag, little pincher in the handbag. I don't like that either. For God's sake, let the dog be a dog, right? I had a client once,
Agreed.
my
Oh my
first
gosh.
business, in the sewing business, they had little Yorkies. It was like, a dance teacher, and they had 3 little Yorkshire. And I remember he come to me and he said, oh, you won't believe what happened. I found a little bird that had fallen out of the nest. And then I showed it to what I can't remember the name of and he basically showed it to the dog, and then the dog went and bit it, and I'm like, and he goes like, oh my God, what did you do? And I'm like, what makes you like but that's the thing. This is still a dog, and it's a hunting dog, for God's sake. They're little, they look like little teddy bears, they look like toys, but in essence, they're a hunting dog. Like, what makes you think it's a good idea to show them well, that's pretty dumb. But that's the thing. It's like when they treat them as a toy, or as a, or like your emotional support animal, to the point that, where I had a psychologist once on the show, and she says, yeah, people use them as their emotional dumping ground. And they will then actually, even there was somebody who says, oh, my dog helped me so much, like my cancer is gone and now the dog's got cancer, right? Like literally to that extreme. And so I don't like that either, when you sort of take advantage of them in some other way. So I thought I needed to find a title that really pulls in the kind of people that I wanted. And then all of a sudden there it was. And I'm like, oh my God, this is it. And yeah, and that was it. And even when I get pitches for the podcast, it's really interesting. I get quite a lot from people, like agents that say, oh, our client's just written a book kind of thing. They obviously search for relevant shows. But the people they send me, like 9 out of 10 are like super relevant. So it really kind of, it makes it pretty clear who this is for and what
it's fitting, because when I thought, I could definitely see myself having a conversation with you, because the title alone, yes, my soul has been touched by my dogs over and over again. So you've written one book.
Written one book, and it's called Taming the Tech Monster. There you go.
There you go.
Oops, hang on. Where is it? It's called Taming the Tech Monster, and I wrote that in 2020 because, the pandemic just started, and now all these people who were running like in-person workshops and were working one-to-one with people in person, now they all got like thrown into the online world. I mean, it was before that people kind of came, hey, can you help with tech? And my answer was always, yeah, go away. That stuff's the easy part. Right? I still believe that, right? I still kind of say that in a sense. Well, not that it's the easy part, but it's usually not the thing they need to deal with when they think they do. So it's like it becomes more important later on. So it's not the first thing usually, but so I've heard myself say that a lot. It's like, yeah, this shit's the easy part, just like, like go away. But and that just almost like didn't feel fair when people literally were shoved into this. She said, like, how can I compress a video? And it came from somebody I knew had like nothing to do with tech at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why on earth would you want to compress a video, right? And then she goes, well, I had to run this workshop on Zoom and I did the workshop, and then people said, hey, can you send the recording? And she goes, oh yeah, okay. And she created an email, attached file, and the file was massive.
That's not gonna work.
Must make videos smaller, right? And then, but I don't know. And for the book, I actually did go and searched. I Googled for how to compress a video. Oh my God, you're in the world of codecs and video formats. It's like, like total overwhelm and because part of getting a good answer for these things is knowing the questions to ask, and so I thought, no, to tell somebody like this that go away, this is the easy part, didn't feel right anymore. So that's the book's more about, and it's not a tech book at all. It's just about how to look at this whole beast, and lose the fear of it. That's why the little dragon thing is on the front, and it's all throughout the book, because what feels like this scary monster is really just a friendly little dragon who wants to play, right? And that's really the core message of it. And if somebody can walk away with that, and I see this with clients all the time, when they go, oh my God, I really enjoy tech now, because now when there is something that I don't know, I'll think, oh, let me see how I can figure this out. And now it becomes a game. Now it becomes a problem solving, becomes interesting rather than scary. And with that, you figure a whole lot of stuff out, that you wouldn't have otherwise. So yeah.
As problem solving, like a puzzle almost, so important, at least for me. That's how I always approach problems. So I love that. Yeah.
With like technophobes, it works brilliantly. Yeah.
Well, I would consider myself a technophobe. I feel like I'm stuck in the middle.
Would also consider you a technophobe.
But
if I might add,
the thing is, she set up her calendar thing
because of you.
Ta-ta.
Yes.
And like in the last month, I would say, like visibly, you've come so far. I was very proud of you.
I have been doing reels, videos.
I know. I was like, wow.
We take the dogs for walks, and I'm forever creating videos. And my husband is like, standing there, with the eye roll going again. And then Rogan is like, Mom, did you do this all by yourself? Yes, I
believe
did.
It.
So now I'm showing him how to do things. But
that's the scary part, because I work in tech. I'm learning things.
This is Rogan's world, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
Now your current work in progress with your working title, The Dog at My Feet. Is that
Well,
like,
yeah, that's not going to be the title now, but yeah, so that's really, it's kind of the book I really wanted to write back in 2020, but it was like, yeah, so it wasn't the one that was ready to come out yet, but it's really about how to bridge, like basically to say, well, okay, being good at what you do isn't enough. If you want to turn this into a business, well, then being good at what you do is only part of the equation, right? And I learned that the hard way in my sewing business, right? So, and I see it a lot, especially with like dog professionals, see it all the time. You know, they always feel that the next qualification and the next certification thingy and the next, that's what's gonna give them the credibility, and then sort of, clients will come and people will buy online and people will find them online, and that's just not how it works, right? It's about trust, and nobody usually cares about the certifications as much as the person who earned them. I'm a certified coach, and not one person ever has asked. I was working in software development, and I have my certificates, the Java programming certificates. Not one person ever has asked me for these, right? When I walked in interviews, it would be like, okay, here's a programming problem. You've got 40 minutes, right? And then you either do it or you don't, and then you either get the job or you don't. So nobody cares how you learned it, but the thing that people care about is that you can solve the problem at hand, right? Right. And so, like, just had recently some conversations with somebody who has a certification program for pet health coaches, right? And so they have, like, in the certification, and I remember from in the coach training program was the same thing. There's a business module in there, right? There's like, now you get the skill. And so now here in module 5.3, we show you how to build a business, right? And then they fire hose you with a bunch of stuff that's usually not incorrect, but it's too high level, all too much at once, and people just don't digest it and don't take it in. And then they go out and then they put the title somewhere on their Facebook profile, and then they're wondering what's happening. So there are some steps in between that are helpful to understand, even though most people, especially when you turn a passion into a business, and I've done it, it's like, you care about the passion, you care about the craft, and dog people care about dogs, and coaches, therapists care about their modality, right? So they don't start this with a business hat on. So that's fine. So you don't have to start with it. But if you want to make money, then you will need to learn a few things and understand how they work. And so that's what the book's going to basically unpack. Here's the bits that you've been winging or skipping. Right. And that's why, and the frustration is real when people see, people that are half as qualified and get all the attention, and they are like the big names, whereas like they sit there quietly with this massive body of work and understanding and depth of experience, and somehow it feels like a hobby because they're just sort of missing a few things.
I feel like I am the target audience of this book. Oh my gosh.
That is funny though. That's funny because like you're way too young. I mean, it's funny because like, and that doesn't mean you couldn't be that, right? It's just like the people who helped me see the problem have all been like older.
I feel like I foresee this problem for myself in the future. I have a hard time. Yes. I'm the person who will have this passion or this thing that I really want to do, and I think be decent at it, but I'll have a hard time manifesting that into something more, learning those extra things that I actually need to do something correctly, I suppose, instead of just, like you said, doing it as a hobby or whatnot. And I also definitely fall into the trap of these certifications and stuff. But that was a lot of that was me coming out of school. I came out of school 3 years ago. Part of it is they kind of like throw that at you a lot, at least in those spaces where it's like, oh, if you want to get even noticed in the first place, you got to have this and this and this. But then you're leaving behind the actual understanding, the actual practical applications and such. Yeah. So It can be a tricky thing,
I
I
mean,
guess.
it is true, though. It is. And it's not this here. I'm not saying that you don't want like qualifications. No, you need to be good at your craft.
Mhm.
Like, but that's just the starting point, right?
It's
So
just the
that's the
starting
thing.
point.
And also there's nothing wrong with ongoing kind of, I'm always in some copywriting thing and this and that. Like it's like that part, like continuously cultivating and the craft. That's kind of like a given.
Mhm.
But then there's these other pieces. How do the people I want to work with, what do they want? How do they think? Like what makes them tick? How do I need to present what I'm offering in a way that they go, oh shit, I need that. So that's a whole other perspective that isn't normally taught at all. And in this certification project, like program that I've just had the chance of getting a little bit of an insight recently, it was really interesting because all the like marketing and, and this and that, it all started with somebody booking a call. And I'm like, well, that's great. Like the hard part is to get somebody to book a call with you, And so there's just I always say, like, when it feels hard, you're skipping steps, right? Always. Like, literally always. And so especially it becomes really, really obvious, when people are like, oh, well, I don't know where to even, well, yeah, because probably what you're trying to do and everything is also fed. And you're so right with this because all the, if you look at like programs that get sold and big name coaches, they will come with their like 6-step proven success formula. And there's nothing wrong in the formula. Like the steps they're fine. There's nothing wrong with the steps. The problem is that they're high level steps, and each one word. And I've been in programs where they say, oh, well, in week 1, you nail your niche. In week 2, you design your offer, right? And I'm like, I know people who've been years at iteration after iteration to actually find that niche that really sits. And so it just gets brushed over too quickly. People need more time to actually really understand it, craft it, try something out. Maybe you find, and I had this with the tech stuff, people would always come like, oh, can you help with tech? And I'm like, yeah. And then it was literally the first time that I was looking into this coaching space where I felt that, oh, there's something that I can offer that is easy for me, that people feel they want and need and are willing to pay for. So it was this, this market match was for the first time. If you go with big, fluffy, transformational coaching, it's a lot harder to sell, right? And then after a while, I was like, God, I hate these. Like, I don't like doing these, right? I had these tech monster sessions, and people loved them, people bought them. And I really, after a while, I get so bored and I hate being looked at the mechanic because it feels like you get like 5% of what I can give you. And I'm just like bored with it. And you don't really get what you need, but you don't see anything else because you look at me as the mechanic. And so I chop them, and then start again. And like, okay, I need a different angle. I need to come in. So it usually takes some iterations. And none of these follow my formula programs give you the space and the depth to really figure this out and to try some things. And well, yeah, your first lead mag is probably going to fall on its face, right? So you're going to have to try again. And nothing really allows for that process. So that's why people, and then what they do, the mole hole thing, right? They're basically, oh God, I signed up for this program. Oh, okay, I dropped out halfway through, and then okay, there's another thing over here, and they sign up for the next thing, and then they spend like a fortune signing up for programs, literally this, that, and this, that, and they never stick to one long enough to actually build something.
That's very true. I may have been guilty of that 1 or 2 times in my life, but it seems like nothing is at a ground level so that it's easily digestible for people to grasp and want to stay with it.
Yeah, totally. So. And I think it's that constant conflict because people want, I mean, if I come along, and I have tried it, if I come along and say, well, I'll teach you how this really works, it's probably going to take 5 years, and you're going to probably fall on your face 50 times, and it's going to be slow, and it's going to be frustrating, but if you actually have the grit to still be there at the end, I can almost guarantee you that it will be successful. Like, nobody buys that. Clients have literally said to me, I just want somebody to tell me what to do. And I'm like, well, then go get a job, right? So it's people crave. And I do understand it because especially when you start your own business for the first time, it feels like somebody's pulled the rug under your feet, when there no longer is a paycheck every month that you can rely on, right? All of a sudden it's like, oh, shit, and even people who have money feel kind of scared by seeing like every withdrawal, it goes down, and there's nothing that refills it. And they freak out. Their level of confidence in, yeah, I can create this, like this bucket can be refilled, is not developed. Well, they've never had to, right? There's always been a paycheck. And so they really, really feel scared at this uncertainty, and nobody can tell me what to do. Everybody gives me high-level tips that kind of like seem helpful, but you can't really do anything with them. And so anybody coming along and offering, follow my proven success formula, you do whatever, like, they sell the certainty that people are craving. That's why people buy them. And like, I've bought them. So it's like, there's no judgment. We'll do it. Also sell what they will sell, short programs. Okay. In 12 weeks, we're going to do all this stuff. And so some things can be done in 12 weeks, but I think people always underestimate what's involved. Like, I have a program to teach people how to start with an email list and set all this up, and I was initially like, why should I even bother? You can just follow the instruction, right? And I'm like, let me teach this. And then I thought, how am I going to teach it? Let's make this a 4-week thing, like 4 weeks. And so people have some time to digest in between. And, and there were like 4 weekly lessons, and I did 3 drop-in calls throughout the week, because I thought, I know even if you give tutorials, people get hung up in the weirdest places, and I want to know what that is. So, and with all of that, the only complaint, like people got the thing, but it was a bit fast. Right. And so in the second week, we kind of put the tech together. And so literally in week 3, there were still people who were still thinking like, what should the thing be? Right. Which is fair enough, but there you see it. Like, it's normally like, I even thought, okay, well, it takes me 20 minutes. Like, if I have to set one up, so, well, could this be an hour or 2? But then I thought, but even the 4 weeks for somebody who isn't familiar with it, even 4 weeks is actually not enough in most cases. And that's where you see, like, if you have these 12-week programs that promise you to get your 6 figures in 6 weeks, it's just never going to work. But they sell people what people want to hear.
We've been so exposed to these programs. We see them all
Absolutely.
the time. We see all these examples of success stories and people doing their thing. And we only see, for the most part, the success stories. And so
Absolutely.
people are going to buy them because you think they're going to. Then you get 4 weeks and it was too fast, right? Like, that's the reality.
Yeah.
That's
I always say it's a little bit like the more you get bombarded with, like, learn Spanish in 30 days, first time you hear it sounds ridiculous, right? But then if you keep hearing it, after a while, you will then think, well, I've been at this for 6 months. Like, why am I not fluent yet? Right? It's the same thing. Most people, like 99.9% people will need a lot longer than 6 months, to be fluent at a language. And it's the same with this.
Well, I can't wait to see and read this book, because I feel like I will take a lot from it, especially this email list. Is that class still being offered? Because I could certainly use a lot of help.
And that you're gonna love it, because I'm gonna do like a Black Friday special on the thing. So you're gonna love it.
Me up. As we near the end of our conversation, because I feel like we could take this into so many different directions and talk for hours, but are you near the end of writing this book? Is this something that you're currently working on with the dog at your feet?
Well, actually, I have carried the idea for this book for quite a while, and it's been always a little bit like a cloud. Like, it's there, and I know it's going to drop at some point, but it wasn't. And like, literally, so there was this challenge. It was like, okay, map out your book. And there was like, okay, and I'm like, let me play. And there was literally this, okay, here's how you like mind map the thing. And I kind of thought, oh, okay, let me see what comes out. And all of a sudden, like, the whole damn thing came out. But all of a sudden, like, the whole, the brain dump, and then, oh my God, like, this is what I'm teaching, right? So this is basically, and the whole thing and the title and everything's kind of there. And so I signed up I've got a book coach now. This thing's going to get done in 3 months. Yep. So
Wow,
we're on
way
a
to
roll
go.
now. So it's like
Yeah.
did not burst, like it literally burst in the last
The
few days.
catalyst, and then
Yep.
go,
Yep.
go. That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
I love that feeling when that happens.
Yeah. And
Sometimes it
I've
doesn't,
been
but
waiting for this for
yeah.
years. You know, I've been for years. I knew I've got this book in me that it was even at the time I wrote Taming the Techman. So it was like this or that. I have a bigger one in mind. Like, but it was too vague still. Like it wasn't quite ready. But all of a sudden, and it was still fairly recently where I'm like, yeah, I have more sense of it, but nothing really that I could put down in writing. And somehow these questions in that challenge, like, and all of a sudden it all came out. So paid for the book coach and the whole, and the book support. So I'm on a roll now.
That
That's
is wonderful.
exciting.
Will you self-publish or?
I don't know yet. I self-published the other one, but I don't know yet. Haven't decided.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see.
You are a wealth of knowledge, and in the short time I've known you, you've taught me so much. And for that, I thank you. And it sounds like we'll have a lot more to chat about on the next time. Just wanted to say thank you for being here with us. And
well, thank you for having me. And
thank you for sharing those
I'm
stories.
so glad you put this together, right? Because when we spoke, you just had the idea.
Yes. And this idea is finally coming to fruition. We're learning. I mean, with every episode, it gets a little bit easier. And the conversations with people like yourself are the best part of it, of course. And getting to know your animals and how they influence your creativity. And that's the purpose. But
totally. And they're crucial, and I think they also, they calm you like, oh God, I can be like a workaholic if I'm in flow. It's literally, it's got to be a dog for somebody to pull me out of this without me getting grumpy. I think that only a dog can get me to stop working when I'm in flow. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Anke, and I look forward to speaking with you again.
So wonderful to speak with you.
I look forward to it too. And so nice to meet you, Rogan. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon, Holly. And thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. Well, Rogan, she's fascinating.
I love hearing about like process and what goes into kind of building up a project or a business or whatever. So that was fascinating. I thought that was really, really, really interesting.
She has so many different, she's got a variety of talents. She's an author, podcaster, yes, coach. Sounds like she's
I try and wear many hats, but then the hats fall off halfway through. I like
hats.
I don't. I really don't like.
Maybe I'll go find myself a fancy hat here in the big city because
Whoa, you're in the big city?
I know. I'm literally 2 feet away from you.
I'm really afraid there's going to be like a really bad echo or something on the recording. But I know. I forget if that got in the recorded bit, but I literally shoved a towel under my door because echo.
I know. I can hear you and then hear you again in 2 seconds. But it's pretty darn cool that I get to be in the same space with you.
Yeah.
Instead of hours away.
There was a version where we were both going to sit in front of this mic. We're going to hit the dog park?
There are endless dog parks in this city. And they're all well-behaved dogs. I've not seen an issue. I don't call me creepy, but I go sit at a dog park and watch.
Okay. I will admit sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to walk away from her for a couple minutes because this is a little weird. You've only been called out once. You've only been called.
Yes, I may have been asked which one was my dog, and I paused and I said, and I was honest because I can't lie. And I said, I don't have a dog. I'm doing research.
Well, here we go. New form of engagement. We can do a poll or any listeners. Is this creepy? Comment down below. I know what I think. I'm kidding.
I mean, but it's incredible. They're very bougie dogs.
They are. It's Toronto bougie dogs.
Yes.
It's not our what would you call your dogs? Our dogs.
Well, mixed breeds. Well, and dare I say mutts. I mean, that was the old term. I don't know if that's acceptable anymore. But I have not seen any mixed breed dogs here. They are all purebred. that sounds like I'm negating it, and it's not, because they are very well-behaved dogs in the city. I've never seen anything like it.
It really is night and day. It's like the birds,
Mhm.
too. I mean, the birds back
Mhm.
home, the birds here, and you can walk right up to one, say hey.
And the squirrels.
And oh my God, the squirrels will jump on you. That
Yeah,
has happened to
they're
me.
thicker and much more tame, shall we
Yeah.
say. What a fascinating episode. We're going to head out to a dog park.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Okay.
listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye for now.